Speaker, people are upset and frustrated about this cuts and the harm they will cause to communities across the province. Programs that support Mi'kmaq and Indigenous culture and services have been cut by $2.2 million. This includes 8 grants in the Office of Elderly Affairs that have been completely eliminated. Why has the Minister of Elderly Affairs cut so much support from Mi'kmaq and Indigenous cultural and community programs?
I recognize the Honourable Minister of Elderly Affairs.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And there's no mystery that we're in a tight fiscal time and these cuts are hard. We feel them. Everybody feels them. And it's an honest reality that we're in. I got into government because I care about people. I got into government because I care about marginalized communities, housing. I care about all Nova Scotians. Nobody finds these decisions easy, but there's a couple points that are really important to clarify. The first one that I'll say is that we are, of course, focusing on our core needs: housing, healthcare, education. But also, just in the last year, since 2024-2025 budget versus 2021-2022, we have an increase of over $17.8 million in support for Mi'kmaq and Indigenous communities across government.
I recognize the Honourable Member for Halifax Citadel Sable Island.
Madam Speaker, this government has spent us into this deficit, has spent us into this debt. These cuts aren't necessary. As well, most insultingly, these cuts don't actually touch the larger problem. The Assembly of Nova Scotia Mi'kmaq Chiefs have said the cuts to Mi'kmaq-specific programs were targeted, and I will table that. Eskasoni First Nation Chief Leroy Denny said the cuts to programs the province and Mi'kmaq have been partners on for years is incredibly disappointing. This government's track record with Mi'kmaq communities includes many missteps and a lack of consultation. I'll table that. Why has the minister allowed these cuts, taking away funding from key programs such as the Mi'kmaq Native Friendship Centre, Treaty Day Ceremony Awards, and the Mi'kmaq History Month?
I recognize the Honourable Minister of Lanou Affairs.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And we invested in Nova Scotians, and this is why we do have the deficit that we have, and I do stand behind that. These aren't easy decisions to make, but when I first got into nonprofit work in housing and homelessness, these problems were coming for 30 years of inactivity and 30 years of underinvesting. So, of course, these cuts currently do hurt, but we still have a lot of good, and that's the clarity that I'd like to provide. The Mi'kmaq Cultural Activities Program, the Mi'kmaq History Month, Community Maui-Omi Development Fund, Indigenous Black and Mi'kmaq at the Dalhousie School of Law, language revitalization. The list goes on and on and on. We continue to invest in communities as much as we possibly can. Thank you, Madam Speaker.